it was the moment that I realized this was a real opportunity to tap into that purpose and fulfillment that I had with my dad. Because if I'm going to spend my entire day at work, wouldn't you want to spend it with the most important person to you in your life? And also, he happens to be an incredibly intelligent person. So the minute he was like, oh, what do you think about this? I was like, oh my gosh, this thing is going to be on fire. We are going to be so successful, and it's going to be so fun, and it's going to be the two of us. Like, I'm going to have that experience again where it isn't just work. It's got all of that deeper meaning to it.
Yeah. All right, Stephanie and Tyler, welcome to the One Away Show.
Thanks, Brian. Great to be here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you for joining me on a Friday afternoon. It's nice to do this with you both. What is the one away moment that you would like to share with us today?
Well, for me, I worked for a family business for 20 years and helped my dad grow his natural ingredient business, mostly in a sales and marketing capacity, and then took that company over. And it was such a successful business. Natural ingredients were so popular that company attracted buyers. And I was in my moment of feeling great and loving running the business and 5 years of beautiful growth. And then it was, this moment that we determined was the right moment to sell. And then that left me with nothing. And funnily enough, I actually had an idea for a kid's product, but I could never launch it because it was going to compete with my customers at the time, because all my customers were the baby brands and all the skincare brands. And so it kind of dawned on me, hold on, I have had this idea. It's a very product-focused idea. Could I turn this into a business? And so it was that moment of having that kind of pulled out from underneath me and realizing, hold on, what can I do here? And I just decided to bet on myself and this idea.
Well, thank you for sharing about, I know your business with your father, the Ross Organics, is that correct? Very nice. From what it sounds like it was an incredible journey for you, Steph, and obviously when you saw that, I know the post-exit founder life can be a bit hollowing or scary or depressing in many ways. Just to reflect maybe on the good of it all and running it, and before you did sell it, what really lit you up about that experience? I know you mentioned you were on the sales and marketing side, but what was it about that experience where it was like, okay, I want to go do something again and kind of spin something out that I formed as I was at that business?
The business became so meaningful to me. I think working with my dad, who used to be my soccer coach when I played soccer in my youth, and, was a mentor to me and a wonderful father, working with him and having that kind of purpose and meaning in the work just made it so meaningful. And I realized that I found so much of my purpose and joy and fulfillment in helping him grow that business, falling in love with that business, not just the business, but the industry as a whole, and realizing that for my own personal fulfillment, I should look at that experience and go, okay, what was it that I loved about it? I loved the autonomy and freedom that I got. I loved working with someone who we could butt heads and disagree and challenge each other. And then the relationship was so strong that it just always felt so incredibly fulfilling. And so starting Dabble Dollop, those were the things I was thinking about. It was okay, I have the product idea and concept, this idea that kids can mix and play and have fun. But who am I and what do I bring to this? And it was how do I bring my full self, my values? This is my opportunity to build a business from scratch based on these values that a lot of them were formed, when I was working with my dad. He was a big risk taker kind of person. So how do I build that into my plan? And how do I build knowledge and information? My dad was just a walking encyclopedia, and I absolutely love that. How do I make sure that I have that same aspect in this business? So I think a lot of it just was I'll never top that experience of working with my dad and having such a successful business in that specific niche. But then it was like, how do I take that forward and build an entire business that can be built on my own personal values and everything that I learned?
Yeah. Sounds like your dad just a tremendous influence on you and what you saw from him, and almost in a way you're preserving legacy and carrying it forward, but under the way you want to be fully expressed. So in a scalable way, which is also very cool. So yeah, thank you for sharing such an insightful comment. Now to you, Tyler, you both are married and have a family, and which I always find very special and inspiring, just the model that you guys have co-created. What made you, say, yeah, I want to join my wife and start this business with her and be her co-pilot? How did that, unpack that for us and maybe some history?
No, it's a great question. I mean, I had a very different pathway than Stephanie, right? So Steph had worked with her dad almost since she graduated college, back when she was like employee number 3. I, on the other hand, had, I guess, kind of bounced around a little bit, but of my own accord, I think I love to get involved with new businesses, new opportunities, see new things. So after college, I started out as an investment banker and I worked in the gaming and lodging group. So I did a lot of casino financings and hotel financings. Following that, I moved to Los Angeles, worked in a private equity mezzanine company. So saw a lot of businesses investing across a wide range of industries. And at that point, I kind of realized like, I liked finance, but I felt like I wanted to be part of the companies, not just sort of evaluating and investing in the company. So I really kind of got the bug to want to move to, let's just call it the industry side, and had an opportunity to move into the entertainment industry, which was sort of out of nowhere, not something that I'd always really wanted to do, but moved into the post-production side and ended up spending about 15 years in media post-production. So we did asset management, film developing, color correction, duplication, film archiving, and really kind of fell in love with that industry. Worked for 2 companies, one that acquired the other ultimately, and was really enjoying, running facilities, having a team, building a team, being strategic, working with senior management. And so I enjoyed that, but there was always this kind of part of me that would watch Stephanie come home, bring her work home with her as I did, but it just felt different. Like she felt, I don't want to say more invested because I gave 110% all the time. But it was something more personal, right? It was something that I could see there was a deeper connection than just sort of the work itself. And so I always kind of had this little thing tickling in the back of my brain about what is that? And, what about that am I missing? I think I got the first taste of that when I ended up moving over to Ultra Mobile, which ultimately became Mint Mobile. Had a chance to go become the president of what was then Ultra Mobile, super fast growing mobile telecom company that a colleague and friends had founded, and they were looking for someone to kind of come in and scale up the business. We ultimately launched Mint Mobile while I was there, and that was kind of my first taste of what I'll feel like true entrepreneurialism. Even though it wasn't my company, I wasn't the founder, I got for the first time kind of what Steph was feeling, right? I felt that family connection. I felt the sense of importance. I felt the sense of obligation. And it's stressful, but it was also really rewarding. And so, yeah, that started to kind of like scratch the surface for me of that entrepreneurial bug and something a little deeper. And then just sort of as a confluence of nature, I guess, as Stephanie just told the story about selling her business, my mom was going through a prolonged illness, multiple myeloma, had a bone marrow transplant, and ultimately did not recover. Passed away, I think, literally 30 days before you closed the business. And so it was a very interesting time for us as a couple, as a family, professionally. And I think, to fast forward to kind of where it ultimately led was the feeling that, I really did need to do something on my own. And, she passed away. She was only 68 years old. And so I looked at myself, I said, am I going to be doing these kinds of things for the next, 20 years, 15, 20 years? And so as Steph started this foray into Dabble and Dollop, I came home one day and I said, hey, would you would you be interested if I were to leave Mint and join you? And I think that was the reaction. And so, yeah, I made the hard decision to leave an amazing company, amazing team of people at Mint, amazing founders, but felt like it was time to do something on our own and start our family business. And so that was sort of the long, dabbly way I got to Dabble and Dollop.
And it was very poetic too, Brian, because it was the moment that I realized this was a real opportunity to tap into that purpose and fulfillment that I had with my dad. Because if I'm going to spend my entire day at work, wouldn't you want to spend it with the most important person to you in your life? And also, he happens to be an incredibly intelligent person. So the minute he was like, "Oh, what do you think about this?" I was like, "Oh my gosh, this thing is going to be on fire. We are going to be so successful, and it's going to be so fun, and it's going to be the two of us. Like, I'm going to have that experience again where it isn't just work. It's got all of that deeper meaning to it."
Yeah.
It's so funny. You're touching on like exactly what I was kind of intuiting is like you've built businesses with the two closest men in your life. And I mean, just like soul and like just human level, that is so pure and special to share that. It seems, well, I don't want to make this contrast, but no, I think it's beautiful. I was going to say, it seems your father and Tyler could be a bit different personalities, but like, oh, that is right. Okay. I was like, I don't know if I should make that leap, but,
we're very different, but there's also some similarities. I think we both love to consume information and I think we all both love to teach in a roundabout way. I think Bill in particular was so well known and loved in his industry because he was so willing to share his knowledge, both internally with Stephanie and the team, but also externally with clients and customers, and even just people who never worked with him but knew of him. You know, when we would go to these industry events, people would always be so thrilled to see Bill, and it was just like they couldn't wait to talk to him. So I think there's part of me that wants to be like that. I enjoy, you know, taking in a lot of information and disseminating it and trying to work with people and teach. So I think there's a little bit of an aspect of that. But yeah, I mean, I think also that connection and that feeling of purpose. I think, you know, all three of us share that.
yeah, no, that's really, really. Oh, go ahead.
Feeling is like, I look at them both as like kind of like walking encyclopedias, like their ability to retain and store and synthesize and like it's next level, and the size of their hearts. Both of them, which I think is very rare to have two men in my life like that are just incredibly heart driven as well. And for me, I think being around people like that has been, you know, just an absolute gift.
Oh, well, it's really, I mean, you don't hear this often. I will say, I was at this conference. I might have shared this with you, Stephanie, when we first chatted, but I didn't meet these people directly. But when I was at a conference in Seattle, the founders of Mod Pizza were there, and they were talking about building a company together with a family. And I looked at that model, and there was something really special about that. I was like, I would like that one day, but there seems like so much risk in that. And I came from divorced parents and this, and I was like, it could also risk the whole family. So question for you guys, when Tyler came home that day and was like, let's do it together, and I'm yearning for something deeper, it sounds like it was like a hell yes. And like, were you scared? Was it like walk me through like that day and moment of, hey, I want to do this with you, and then like how you feel about it, and then like what ensued after?
I mean, it was an immediate like, yes, this is right for the business, but also in a lot of ways, more importantly, right for us personally, because, you know, we have 3 children that were getting older and 3 that need to be in 3 different places. And, oh, you have to be here at 5:00 for this theater performance, or you have to go at 10:00 for this. And so I think we quickly realized that from a lifestyle standpoint, it actually improved our lifestyle because we work in the same place, and one of us can always, we call it man the shop, and one of us can always go do the thing that might be needed for the family, whether it's helping our children or helping my aging parents or helping, you know, anything like that. So I think there's been a huge personal advantage to it in that we have been able to manage our growing family better that way. I think the only negative that I think over time you realize is when you spend that much time together all day, then it's not like so exciting to see each other at the end of the day because you just spent the entire day together. So I would say our nights have changed a little bit. It used to be a boom, talk, 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 share about your work, share about my work. Like we love talking about business. Now we go home and
Let's
it's like,
not talk about business.
maybe we'll go hit some golf balls
Yeah.
or I'll maybe go, do something on my own, go for a long walk. Or like, I feel like we have to be more intentional about carving out like the special time that's not work time.
Yeah.
And don't expect that every single day because that's just that could cause burnout.
And Brian, you said something right before Stephanie's answer about your parents. And I think I came from a similar background. And, while I wouldn't say we were financially, in a terrible situation, I think I was always very money conscious, right? We were kind of just on the edge, right? Especially after my parents got divorced, we were kind of just on the edge. And so financial security was always a big thing for me. So I look back now and I think about the choices I made. And a lot of them were because I wanted and needed financial security, whether it was for myself or our new family. And I was not ready to put myself out there and sort of hang the shingle on the door and say, like, you know what, I'm going to bet it all on, Project X, right? And so I think I became an intrapreneur, right, when I really wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I found myself trying to build businesses inside of other businesses. And then, and just full disclosure, when Stephanie sold the business, that gave us some financial flexibility for the first time where I felt like, okay, there's still risk here. It's still going to be difficult, but I felt for the first time that weight off my shoulders and the personal comfort to be able to say, now's the time.
Yeah, no, that's sounds like you guys went into the decision with some good data points, and where risk could be a bit taken off the table, and you kind of knew internally, right? You're yearning for this.
Yeah.
So, Tyler, just to go into your background a little bit, I don't. I can imagine you looked at this opportunity, obviously, to build with your wife in a way that, hey, this is really special, and like there's a commercial opportunity here and a financial and stuff. Not that you didn't see that. I'm just from his financial PE background. I'm sure there was some modeling that was at play. Like what did you see in this, and obviously in Steph, and then obviously in the opportunity where it was like, oh, there is a real commercial opportunity here. And then Steph, I'd love you to maybe answer it from your perspective as well.
Yeah. It's a really insightful comment because I thought a lot about that. I sort of had my private equity hat on for a second. And what ultimately was the decision was she was starting something that she knew more about than just about anybody else, probably in the United States, right? If she told me, hey, I'm going to start a protein powder company, I would have been like, okay, well, good luck with that, honey. I think it's gonna be a tough road. Like, what do you know about protein powder, or, pick a product. But her background, her experience, her relationships was the unique differentiator to me, right? I tried to step back from this as husband and more of like investor and going like, okay, if I were to go into this, why would I do this, right? Consumer products is tough. This space is, mastige, commodity-ish. Like, why would I want to do this? And it was really because of her. It was, you have something special, unique, different, knowledge, experience, connections that no one else who could start this business has. And that's born to be true. We've seen other competitors come into this space, and I'm not going to, downplay any of our competitors, but, someone was, hey, I was a mom or I was a parent that couldn't find a clean ingredient for my child. Well, 9 people have that same story, right? Ours was, I'm an ingredient expert who understands and knows what needs to be in these products, what shouldn't be in these products, and I'm going to make a fun product that has the clean ingredients of the adult products that, we're used to making. And so I just knew we had something different and special that couldn't be replicated. And so for me as a investor deciding whether or not I was going to spend the next now 7 years of my life doing this, that for me was a big differentiator.
Oh, It's amazing. That's awesome. I love like the in this world of AI, everyone's talking about domain expertise. It's like Stephanie had the domain expertise, and we're going to scale this consumer, product, for kids in a way that's meaningful. Steph, how would you answer that?
I think I was very product focused. Like I had this idea that kids could then mix and blend different products together to customize their bath time. And it was very product focused.
Well, because you had seen the kids playing at the
Right.
at the office.
Yeah, and I was a mom. I'm a mom too, so it was like between the natural ingredient expertise, the number one thing moms care about are ingredients, and then I'm also a mom, so I've got the experience with that too. So there was a lot of love and expertise that went into the product concept. Tyler coming on board, I quickly realized I was thinking just so product focused and not thinking about
the business.
And so, it's not embarrassing to say that because, it was a pure play. Like this was based on my passion and my beliefs and my values. Did I have it all figured out? No. Did I think I could learn it? Yes. But when Tyler came on, it really just opened up the whole business. His analysis, his insights, because he was at basically a direct-to-consumer brand before. I never had any direct-to-consumer experience, yet I'm running a direct-to-consumer brand. So me being so product-focused and having that expertise, I really saw him as helping me really see the bigger picture and round out and build out, a much more robust strategy. And
yeah, because you had never, again, not to disparage you, like you had never thought about things like customer acquisition costs and customer lifetime value and retention and all these things that like we did as a subscription product at Ultra and Mint, right? All we talked about was like, how much does it cost to acquire a customer? How long can we keep them? Are we providing a great service that gets great customer service, feedback? These were all things that from a B2B side, you don't really think about that for the last 25 years. And so I think it was a good combination of her having a great idea for a great product and then starting to understand, okay, well, what does it take to actually get this thing to market and have people buy it over and over again?
Yeah. Steph, I very much identify with your background and bringing the Tylers of the world to prop up the visions that we held and how invaluable that is when you do that with experience, but also like it's not possible without your passion and vision and obviously the skills that you've harnessed, I'm sure, on the tool belt to get to where you guys are. So it's a really cool story. Okay, now I have a question for you guys. Feel free to answer it in whatever way you feel is comfortable. But I was going to say, if I had each of you in separate rooms right now, and I said, what's something, Stephanie, that you've learned about Tyler the last 7 years that maybe unexpected, or maybe you've never shared with him, or good, constructive, or both, what would you say? And then Tyler, answer this. It'd be great to hear your answer as well.
I think I've learned, that has been a really fun part because I definitely feel like I know him so deeply now, like as a colleague and like how he works and all of that. I feel like I didn't realize how theoretical Tyler is. Like he loves to really think through and like concept things out and plan, like this would be the next step and then the next, but he needs that time to really, it's like the theoretical thinking. It's not like action, execution. It's this theoretical thing that, again, I do value that tremendously, but like I realize like how his process is different than my process. And yeah, I think I realize also how, I knew you were analytical, but it's pretty amazing how analytical he is, like how he's able, which there's so many things he's good at, right? Just as good of a communicator, just as good of a storyteller, just as good of a marketer. But it's this analytical part that I never saw up front day to day. And the output and the analysis that he does, and I watch him do it, and how he can just do it for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, just sit there with spreadsheets, 20 of them connecting and this and that and all. And I can't believe I could never do that. I could never. It blows my mind that he can do that.
Well, I'm about to get replaced by AI. So
I know. Now you're using those tools that like all of a sudden what took him 6 hours is now taking him, an hour, which is so cool. But yeah, I think that, and
Yeah.
What do you think? What would you notice about
Well,
me?
for you, I think, I only could see what you did secondhand, right? I would only hear about people oh my God, we love working for Steph and we love Steph and Steph. And so, I never, I think I understood the why, but I never saw it in real life. And so now I see it every day. And she's just got this positivity and drive that is really, really quite incredible. I mean, I think I tend to get a little caught in the waves. I get the highs become pretty high, the lows can come pretty low. But Steph kind of keeps that positivity going all the time. And what I see now is like just the way our team look at her, even just the way they physically look at her, they get excited by hearing what she's got to say. And I think she brings kind of this unbridled energy, positivity, belief, a belief that this will work out. It's gonna work. This idea is gonna work, even though, sometimes things are great and sometimes things, aren't as spectacular. She stays positive. And so it's amazing for me to see that as a colleague and a husband, to have other people recognize that in her. And it sort of keeps me bolstered, right? Keeps me going as well. So I think, just seeing her management style, the way she leads with her heart, the positivity, the way people respond to her. I also know that she can be incredibly strategic, right? So not to say she's two-faced anyway, but like there's also there's a killer instinct inside her too, right? And that comes into play in different places. But like the thing that's impressed me most is just the way people gravitate to her, want to work with her, want to be part of what we're doing, and just her positivity is it's incredible.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So endearing to hear. Such joy. I knew if I was getting both of you today that we could go to some good places. So this has been wonderful. I mean, look, I think to your point, Tyler, to work with someone with such radiance and magnetism, it really can carry a business. And also, like, just thinking about my own COO and some people in my orbit, like, it's good to have like someone who can maybe keeps the pragmatism or might not be so high on the horse, because like, it's great to be an optimist, and it's also good to live in reality a little bit, which I struggle with myself. So I think I'm team Stephanie in this call, but no, I'm kidding. But no, this is good. But but sorry, I lost my train of thought. I was trying to bring this home. I think it seems that you have both a lot of mutual respect for one another and how you work, and the skill sets that you guys have. I mean, it's very expansive and practical, and makes the business work. So talk to me. So we talked about the journey of the date, how we got here, your relationship together, and how you've learned. I'd love to hear about, the business in the sense of, from where you first started, right, 7 years ago, to like where it is now. Can you help give an image and shape to where the company is and the impact, and I would just love to kind of hear it for those who are listening for the first time.
Yeah. Looking back on 7 years, in some ways it feels like it was 7 months, in some ways 70 years, right? I mean, it's both, it's got both aspects to it. I think the thing that I keep seeing is that we keep, I don't want to say stumbling into, because Steph has this great expression about luck, right? Which is when opportunity meets preparation, right? That's we talk about that all the time. We keep stumbling into these, I guess, lucky moments that continually kind of vault us forward. So I would say, like, within 3 months of us launching the brand, Stephanie got selected for kind of like a little incubator program on QVC. Right. So we literally had 3 products. We had strawberry, vanilla, and tangerine gels. We were kind of like, I wouldn't say we were market testing, but it was sort of like an MVP. Like, is this a thing? Like, we're launching these products. Is there a market? And all of a sudden she wins this competition, gets on QVC and does, 2 shows on QVC. And we're like, okay, well, I guess this is a thing. And, we learned a lot from QVC. We learned a lot about like how people interact with the product, brought it back. Start launching more products. And then, we have a bunch of other opportunities come along with different distributors who find us. They find us in weird places. They find us on LinkedIn. They find us a friend of a friend, all these sort of like stumble into moments that kind of pushed us forward. And then, 2 years ago, you literally got a LinkedIn message from a buyer at Target, right? Like, we know now that, people spend months, if not years, with brokers and, trips to Minneapolis to like try and get in front, just to get in front of Target, just to even have a chance to have a conversation. And this buyer reached out to us on LinkedIn and was like, I love your products. I'd love to see if we can carry your products in Target. We're like, okay. So, that kicked off the Target relationship. And then I think, whether it was because of the Target relationship or I think it was LinkedIn again. I don't want to make this an ad for LinkedIn, but then the Walmart buyer reached out to us through LinkedIn and I saw your products in Target. We think it's great. We'd love to carry you in all these stores. And so, in between those moments, I think there have been times of like, are we going to make it? Like, I think every entrepreneur has these like days, if not weeks of like, is this going to work? We were kind of breaking even, we were sort of, really small team, didn't really have the ability to hire too many people. We had the two of us, our next door neighbor who was helping us with packing out and shipping, who's still here downstairs right now. And so it was just kind of like the three of us kind of clunking along. And then when we got the Target opportunity, we were able to finally bring in a team. But yeah, I mean, it has not been if you were to draw the graph, it's not like it's just been this sort of straight line forward. I mean, it's definitely been bumpy, and these things that we never thought would happen have happened. I think you think we're way bigger than you thought we would ever be when you started this. I think when she started the business, I think her worry was I was going to want to make it too big, right? Because I had been working for, billion-dollar companies. I'm not sure I had anything to do with this, but, we're way bigger than I think you thought we'd be.
Oh, yeah. I still can't believe it. I'm impressed with us. I'm impressed with us.
I want to play out something you said, Tyler, and ask you a question, Stephanie. You talked about how people spend years trying to get in front of Target, Walmart buyers just to get in. And what I heard then you say is, our product stood out on its own and it attracted buyers. And whether it's a software product or consumer product, like, there's something to be said, I think, about such a good product that it does the marketing for you. And Steph, when you were talking at the beginning, you said, I'm obsessed with product. I'm making this thing so good. Tyler was like scaffolding to bring it all out, but like I was zero focused on making this incredible. What was like, if you could take, you had experience from your family business, but what was it like that you saw in this product and like the vision that you're trying to drive for this? Like help walk us through like this product vision that you had at the start and like this line of products of where the business is today, because I think that would be very helpful orientation for why the demand has been so high and happened on its own.
I think you have to take care of kids to work day.
Yeah. So I think it started with, I would have this annual event at our office for our employees where we would bring in children, and it was Take Your Kids to Work Day. I think it was like April every year. And instead of just walking them around to the different, departments and doing a tour and having a luncheon, I was like, well, what if we created like a mock laboratory, like a little mini laboratory for kids? We'll get all of our little tables and we'll cover them in white, and we'll get little lab coats, and we'll get little safety goggles, and we'll put little formulas in front of them, and we'll put phase A and B there, and we'll have them blend it together and stir. And then all of a sudden the two clear oils and water turn white, and then their eyes would light up. And so like that day when I would bring these kids in was sort of the aha moment of like, oh my God, kids are so sensory focused. They love to create. They have such incredible imaginations. We lose it over time, right? Like the more adult we become, but like looking at them and realizing like, this is a specific category that has been totally ignored. You either have the brands that are sort of, the natural or, oh, it's safe and it's clean, and sometimes often fear-based marketing approach to care. And then you have the like artificial fragrance, wild, crazy 1980s colors, super cheap bath time experience. And so looking at those two things, I was like, this is not even like, designed it all with the child's interest in mind. Kids love the sensory, they love the play. And so, yeah, on one side, I saw a lot of clear packaging and clinical and white and fear. And then on the other, I saw a lot of, synthetic and chaos and crazy and like just the artificialness of it. And I wanted to bridge that gap. I was like, well, I know I can create a very good, clean, natural, wonderful product. But instead of, I'll put it in colorful bottles that are modern, because if you look at some of the most popular products for kids that are in the bath care section that may be used as a kid, they're still in the same 1980s colors. They haven't evolved and changed. It's like the legacy companies haven't been able to evolve. And the other companies have sort of stayed the same. And so I was like, wait a minute, we can do both things. We can have an incredible, great product that's sensory based and fun. And then the bottles themselves can be this modern color palette that mom can feel good about, like, oh, wow, this is a brand that like cares about, I always say, it's what's inside the bottle that really matters, of course, at the end of the day, but no one's going to buy it if the bottle doesn't look great and it doesn't match the same quality and experience of the inside of the bottle. So even though my background was very scientific and cosmetic science driven, one of the things I learned through watching other brands over time was how important that is, how important that packaging and marketing is. And so, yeah, those were the things that kind of informed me into like, this is how we are going to be different. Obviously the mixing and blending concept is different. And then putting it together and making that bridge where you could have something that's fun and playful and experiential.
Well, even just using scents that kids love, right? Like everything prior to that, with lavender, chamomile, all these things that were like kind of marketed towards the parent, or bubble gum and sugary, right? And so I remember Steph saying, like, why don't we just have like strawberry and blueberry and orange and like, these are the things that our kids love. So why don't these exist? I think we still sometimes wonder, like, why don't they exist? And hopefully we're making a dent in that. But yeah. And then I think the other part of it was that moment when kids were mixing their things, we thought about, well, how do we package this up? Like, can't really send chemicals in the mail. You can't really send beakers and tell someone to do 2 drops of this and 4 drops of that. So we're like, how do we capture the magic of mixing and playfulness from almost like a STEM perspective? And that's kind of where the rainbow of bubbles came in, which was like, these are all designed to be mixed together, right? You can take 7 scents and make over 125 different combinations. And every night a kid can go, I'm going to do, blueberry orange tonight, or I'm going to do vanilla strawberry shortcake, right? And so it was trying to like capture that mixing energy in a practical way with clean ingredients.
I think what strikes me is the level of thought and intentionality that you guys put how to design an experience, right, for parents and their kids, like at this special, intimate time in many ways, and kind of rearing your kids. And so it sounds like you brought kind of fun into this experience in a whole new way. And so even from what I've seen on the website and just the brand and the distinction I think that you guys have crafted, I think it comes through. I can say that for sure.
And I would say love and care too. Like, I wasn't starting with this is the cost and this is what it has to be and this is how, we're going to make money, blah, blah, blah. No, it was like, what's best for kids? Kids don't need to be soaking in a bath with 45 plus ingredients, which is the standard out there. They can do it in 10 ingredients or less, For my own children, that's how I want to create something that I would use on my own children. I want to be able to sleep at night and know I've created something that is the best. And so I think starting from that place, gave me so much confidence in that, like, there is nothing better. There is nothing more authentic. There is nothing, like in my mind, I am that crazy positive person where I'm like, this is the best thing ever. And then, of course, you heard Tyler's story and how he made it all actually work. But I think that's why there was just a lot of love, not just the expertise, but I think it was driven with pure intentions, and it's a great, great product.
Yeah.
So
no, Yeah, I mean, just in everything you were saying, like the intentionality is so clear, and I think that's when you build. I love that "Start with Why" TED Talk, because it reminds me of like building from an internal place. Like it seems like you guys built from such a clear purpose and wrap the business around it to let it flourish. But it's so clear the founder spirits behind this and how it came together. Question for you on just the business and how it's evolved. We'd love to hear about like different product lines that have. Sounds like you've been able to build on multiple product lines. Maybe ones that have surprised you, ones that have just taken off, and then from a kind of where they've grown, maybe pockets of families they've grown into that you weren't expecting. Like I would love to just hear more of the scout, what the backbone of the business and the product lines pieces.
I think our Rainbow of Bubbles has been our hero product and continues to accelerate its uptake all across, different channels. But we also realized, we had a couple infant products that we had launched back in 2023. And so recently we kind of revamped and relaunched an infant baby offering. So very different than the product that we have for more of the toddler set. And this one was, again, it just kind of dawned on me. I was like, wait a minute, I know how to do this better. Every other diaper cream you use has like 32 ingredients in it. I don't know many moms that want to put 32 ingredients on their baby, especially when they're actually liquid plastic or just not good things for the baby's skin. So it was like, okay, how do I do this with 6 to 10 ingredients, keep it super simple, focus on the only thing that really matters for infants, and that is their skin barrier. Because the only thing that matters is protecting that skin barrier because it's not fully developed. So really focusing on the ingredients that matter for that, forgetting about marketing trends or what are all these things, but like what really matters? What matters is the skin barrier, the microbiome, and the safety. That's what really matters, And so we were able to put together this line that has since taken off and just kind of is starting to get a lot more traction. And then what would you?
Oh, no, I would also say two things. One is real quick. I think we also learned pretty quickly some customer behaviors that I think we didn't anticipate, right? So I think it's clear to us that parents of newborns, of infants, whether it's their first or their second, will spend any amount of money on their baby. It doesn't matter. Like they will buy the best stroller, the best diapers, the best baby care products, the best. And so we assumed, oh, that must be true for kids of all ages. Well, I think one of the things we learned was that somewhere along the line, maybe it's 3 or 4 years old, like parents, I think, were sort of like, just get in the tub, kid. Like, here's some Dawn dish soap or something. Like, all of a sudden, like the propensity to spend seemed to drop off. And so I think we've kind of like tried to fight against that trend and try to get people comfortable with our brand earlier on and trust Dabble and Dollop with their infant. And then, okay, well, now when they're 3 and they're starting to make their own choices or they don't want to take a bath and they're fighting you, how do I kind of have a product and have a trust factor that kind of defeats that? And so I think we were very intentional about launching baby the right way, again, like Steph said, with the right products, but also as like the doorway, the gateway to our brand, such that you can trust us from infant to 10 years old. And I think that's the second thing I would just say is, the other product line that kind of shocked us was our bath bombs. We, we made a pledge to ourselves to not die by SKU death. We didn't want to have hundreds of SKUs and sort of have to manage this. So we had our Rainbow of Bubbles and kind of that was it. And then we were like, but bath bombs are really a thing. Gosh, they're a thing. And so we ended up looking at the bath bomb space, saw it was full of, big single bath bombs that, deformed over time, were full of artificial dyes and colors, had a toy inside that kids could potentially choke on, like all these things. We're like, why can't we bring the mixing concept to bath bombs? So we launched our mini drops, which are, small 1-inch size bath bombs that you can, same thing, 3 or 4 of this scent, 2 or 3 of this scent, and you have an amazing bath experience. That has taken off like wildfire. And so same concept. I think if you said 7 years ago, you're going to be launching bath bombs, she would have said, why would I do that? But that has been probably the single biggest product surprise for us.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I was going to say such rich consumer insights and like how the product line has evolved and developed and why. It's funny. My dad told me to send my sister flowers because she just had her second kid last weekend. I haven't sent her flowers yet because I'm like, why would I send her flowers if I could get something for the kid? So actually, this is a great time. It's I should send. They have 2 kids now, so I can send the product line to them. Maybe get them hooked. So thanks for that because I can maybe make my sister happy. Guys, this has been incredible. I mean, I hope it's been for you. Before I let you run, one more question. What's something I have maybe not asked or touched on that you want to share or leave us with today?
Well, I think I would say, again, because Steph is always so positive, I think, when we talk about our brand, we always try to keep it positive, try to keep it love. It's not been easy, right? It's definitely not. This has not been an easy road. The consumer products space is tough. This product in particular is difficult. You have to start manufacturing. Let's just take example for the big box retailers. To hit a shelf in February, right? You have to start manufacturing back in October. You have to get the stuff to them in December. They've got to get it to the shelves, to their DCs, to their stores so that it's ready on, February 15th for the customer. That's a big cash flow window that we have to suffer through, right? So we're putting out tons of money to build tens, if not hundreds of thousands of bottles back in October, and we won't get paid till April. And so that window is very difficult for a self-funded, invested business, right? It is just the 2 of us. We don't have any outside investors, no private equity, no bank loans. So, we're putting our personal net worth on the line, every 6 months. So that creates some stress. That creates some stress personally, that creates stress at home, that creates stress here. So I think, that is a challenge that we're learning how to navigate through. And then I think a lot of people have gotten sold that, there's this entrepreneur unicorn direct line that you become an entrepreneur and next thing you know, you're going to have $1 billion business. And this is a 7-year road and we're not done. This is not over in 7 years. And the road is difficult. So I think as, if there are entrepreneurs or would-be entrepreneurs listening, be ready to fight the fight for a long time. Especially now in the world of AI, who knows where we're going directionally, but it is not an overnight success kind of business. And so I think having the fortitude, making sure we've got the love, both personally and for the product and the business is important because there have been days we've probably wanted to give up, right? There are days we feel like we're on top of the world. There are days we're like, what are we doing? And so I think being able to have that stick-to-itiveness is really important. And it's even though Steph's super positive, it's not all like rainbows and daisies all the time.
I think for me, it's maybe how we think about what it means to be successful and what is success, and taking time to celebrate the wins because yes, it's so hard. I could easily turn off a positivity thing and I'd be like, oh my God, I'm exhausted. This is crazy. And it's really about realizing that it's not just about making money. In fact, it was never about making money. It's funny how making money comes if you do things that are meaningful and purposeful and coming from the right place. Yeah. And so for me, I keep a checkbox in my brain of what is the definition of success. For me, it's having meaningful relationships with my colleagues and really making that time be meaningful and not just oh, I work with these people. I want to feel good about where I spend my time and who I spend it with. So I check that box. I check the box of, oh my God, I got into 2 retailers that people would die to get into and we're in them. How lucky are we? How grateful are we? Checking that box, and you just start to go through that. And so for me, I think for me, that's how I've been able to try to keep myself positive is really thinking about holistically, what are my real values? What's really important? And staying focused on that.
Well, I feel like you guys have the values in the right place and are a team to do it together for sure. At least knowing you an hour. So thanks for giving me an intimate look into the business partnership here, and I think it was really special. I feel really grateful you shared this with me and our show and platform, and look forward to getting this out. But super excited for you both, and more to come. I'm sure we'll all see the witness. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Brian. You asked great and good, insightful questions. I appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll be thinking about some of them.